I will be a core facilitator today on this topic called Harnessing Emotional Intelligence for Success. I am actually the moderator for the discussion. So this discussion today is brought to you by two great companies. It is brought to you by Impact Leadership Academy. Impact Leadership Academy is a premier company providing providing a provider of integrated human resource solutions, training and talent development solutions, and coaching services. Their motto is learn, share, support. And they have been working with organizations and individuals in the region of East Africa. They have been trying to inspire a culture of learning, coaching, and mentoring. And we know that in this great Africa of ours, we do need a lot of mentorship, a lot of coaching. We have a lot of resources, but we really need to grow people as well to be able to take advantage of these great gifts that we were given by God. So ILA's vision is to inspire impactful leadership that embodies aspiration for the future and represents the positive impact the firm aims to make in the realm of leadership development and human resource management. So Zuhura Muro, Mama Zuhura, is the managing partner for Impact Leadership Academy. She's also a good friend and mentor to me and to Profiles International. Now, ILA, Impact Leadership Academy, and Profiles International have been working together and have partnered over the years to deliver meaningful services to our clients and to organizations. And not only that, we have really been working together to deliver a lot of these webinars, these educative webinars to people that find value in them. So Profiles is based in Nairobi, Kenya, and we provide psychometric assessments, training, digital learning solutions, as well as coaching and mentoring. And you can begin to see just how collaborative and connected as a partners we are. We both believe in emotional intelligence as a skill that is there for the future, that if we harness it enough and we train people enough, we can find the leadership that we need tomorrow. So with partnership in ILA, we deliver digital learning solutions, coaching, and mentorship within the region. We deliver transformation through our assessments, and we pride ourselves for providing in-depth, objective, comprehensive, and reliable information about your people, far beyond what you can uncover with normal human resource practices. So together, ILA and Profiles, our promise is to mold different cultures that are ready for the future of work. Our promise, of course, is that we also imagine great people and we work together to try and make sure that we are part of the movement that is building great people to lead these great nations. So your key speaker today will be Zuhura, and I will be moderating the conversation. And that is why if you have any questions, I will be reading out to them. If you have any comments, I will be reading them out to her. And we will basically be having a discussion around what is and what is not emotional intelligence. So I want to take a moment right now and have a short reflection on the leadership behaviors that harness leadership success. Sorry, a reflection on behaviors that harness leadership success. What behaviors are those that harness leadership success? To help you in this reflection, we're going to run a short poll. And we will invite you to participate. I think it's already on your screen right now. So which one of these would you pick as a key contributor to leadership success? Which one of these would you pick as a key contributor to leadership success? Pick the ones that you feel are the most relevant when it comes to leadership success. I'll give you a few minutes. I can see we have one coming in. You can pick more than one, I believe. Marvin, you can confirm. Can we pick more than one?
No, it's just one.
Okay, so let's see which ones we get. I can see results coming in. It's a close tie between communication, 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 communication. Creating a safe environment coming second. Communication, picking others' perspective is also being selected. Listening actively is also being selected. We have about 21 responses so far. We still have a few more to go. If you've just come in, we have a poll that is on the screen right now that we are asking you to participate in. So I'm seeing the answers coming in. I see we have 23 responses out of. We have 25 now. Thank you very much. Still a close tie. Okay, we have 28. Let's see if we can get that number to 40. And see we're at 31, 33. Okay, Zuhura, I think you can see on your end, it's very interesting the answers that we're getting. Okay, so we're about to close the poll. Good. I think we have a winner, and I would like to invite Mama Zuhura. Before we close, let's give it another 3 seconds. Okay, so Marvin, perhaps you can end the poll now. We see the results. And at this point, I would like to introduce none other than Mama Zuhura Muro, who has been a mentor, a coach, a friend, who has also been one of the people in Tanzania who's been very instrumental in having forward-thinking leadership discussions. She has worked with various organizations. She's a member of the CEO Roundtable in Tanzania. She's a member of the faculty of Uongozi Institute, an institute nurturing leaders. She's delivered work across all kinds of organizations in the region, whether they are large organizations, small organizations. She loves being part of the strategy around people and talent, having had an extensive background in human resource and being able to see and work with organizations to see how talent and leadership can translate back to business, what we call results. So who better than to have a discussion around emotional intelligence and how that really significantly impacts leadership success. So welcome, Mama Zuhura. So much.
Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you very much. And good evening, everyone from Tanzania and Kenya and anywhere you are joining us this evening. Vicky, thank you very much. I hope I'm loud enough for us to start our discussion. As you have been invited through our discussion, it's going to be an open, and thank you very much for the poll that we have just completed. For people who are coming in, maybe they are not aware of the poll, and I believe the poll, the highest is in the communicating clearly, and there is a tie on taking others people perspective. The people in the background, they'll let me know. So today we are going to look at aspects that normally help leaders to harness success. And when we are talking about success, we are not talking about short-term success. We are talking about a long-term success that will see your organization becoming better in terms of maintaining a competitive edge. So our poll is showing us communication with clarity and respond positively to feedback has been the highest, followed by listen actively and acknowledge others, and then followed by aware of how you impact people. And it is also followed by take in others' perspective in analyzing and making decision. Wow. So this is just a poll which is done across the people who are attending this particular webinar. But you can say if you propagate it and you take it out to try to see how many people will give you the same thing, you'll find actually the same things are happening in terms of the leadership essentials that will make leaders more successful in dealing with people. I'm going to share my slides so that we'll be able to talk in a more structured way. And I would like to start by telling a story. And that story, some of you, you'll be able to relate with it. But the story is more about what moves people, yeah? Leadership is the one who moves people physically and emotionally. And when we talk about leadership moving people physically and emotionally, it means when you don't have people following you, you don't have people responding to you because you have been able to ignite fire within their hearts, and you are able to move them in this century where we have multi-generational people in our companies, then you are not getting it right. And if you take the advice of Jack Welch, when he said any company trying to compete must first, figure out how a way to engage the mind of every employee. And each company that I'm working with, many people will ask, how do I know what people are thinking? How do I engage the heads of the people? How do I get the 3 efforts that are required for me to be able to make my company successful? And when we are talking about the 3 efforts here, we are talking about the hand, getting the physical effort of the people to deliver what you want them to deliver. And then we are talking about the head, people giving you the best outcome, giving you the innovation that they bring to your organization. And the third item is about the heart. How do I get people to really feel passionate about what they are doing, to really see that I'm contributing to a greater good, I'm contributing to something that is meaningful. This job is not only about me getting maybe a paycheck at the end of the day, it is also making a meaningful contribution. So when we ran the poll, you were spot on, because people will not know they are making a meaningful contribution if leaders are not communicating with clarity. If leaders are not doing a complex communication, meaning complex communication, getting people to be aware of their role, to be aware why they have to be accountable, but also getting people to have a depth of understanding where the company is going. And lastly, getting people to take action. So when we talk about communicating with clarity, we are talking about 3 levels of communication, where people are aware, but people understand, and people take action, right action to get your organization moving forward. So what are the research telling us? Because at Genos, we are very much informed by research, and we look at what the research is saying. Now, I want to share with you very quickly a practical research which was done by Daniel Goleman in 1995. And the emotional intelligence was there since 1950s, but there was no connection. How does it contribute to performance in an organization? So the behavioral scientists were really struggling to bring it to the business world and say, emotions contribute to the performance of the organization. How people feel also contribute to the decisions that they make and the performance in the organization. So that kind of connection was not there. But then when I reflect back in the 2001, when I was working as a human resource director for a telecommunication company in Tanzania. I remember very well what happened in that 2001. We had entered in the market as the 5th entrant in the market. There were other telecommunication companies that had already taken traction. And when we entered the market, we had big ambition. Not only a big ambition, but we were well resourced. We had very good technology, state of the art at that particular time. But also, I went to the University of Dar es Salaam. I hired very, very smart young people. And my average age in the company was about 23, because we had young people who could run. But along the young people that we hired, we had state-of-the-art experts who were also very well versed about the telecom organization. And then we had one of the best management team that you could harness at that particular time. But the launch of the company did not create any, anything, any ruffles in the market. It was like nothing has happened. What was happening in that particular company? We had a leader, the captain of the company, very different from the rest of the management team. And there was a time we were even asking ourselves, where did they get this person from? It was completely detached. It was like coming from analog technology, and we were driving a digital technology. When we are worried about how we are engaging people, he was not fuzzled. And the approach, how he was seeing people, it was very different. He was mistrusting everyone. He wanted me to keep all the keys because he thought everybody is a thief, so you cannot trust anyone. So there we were. We could not meet our numbers. We could not even be competitive in anything that we were doing. Towards the end of that year, we had a change. So the people who were making decisions, who should be the captain of the company, decided to change our captain. We got a new leader. And that's when we had an opportunity to really start looking, where did we go wrong? And then we realized it doesn't matter whether you have the state of the art, you have the building, you have good people. If you have not found a way of engaging these people, you cannot win in the market. And that's when we started talking about emotional intelligence. That's when we started talking about all these researches that were taking place. And that's when I stumbled on Daniel Goleman. And this book of his made a lot of difference because he's talking about why emotional intelligence matters, in leadership than even the IQ. And when we started delving into this particular research, we realized when you talk to the leaders who have achieved so much success in their leadership, they will let you know that actually only 33% of the success is contributed by technical skills, their expertise, But 67% of the success they achieve as leaders, it is through their essential skills, ability to engage people, ability to create collaborative teams, what we are now calling resonant teams, ability to win the heart, the mind, and the hand of the people that they have employed. So all this, meaning that they're talking about how you communicate, how you engage people, how you motivate, how you recognize their effort, and how you reward those efforts. So then we learned a lot and we said, how can we energize the company now so that it can win the market? So we started internally looking at our people. What can we do for our people to be very engaged? So what we did, we started a program where every employee was able to participate in deciding how we are going to approach the market, how we are going to relate with our customers. And we created teams, started bottom-up accountability. And immediately we could see the result. Now, 18 months down the line, we were voted to be the best operations of the 17 companies under the Celtel International at that particular time. We won East Africa, the most preferred, corporate in the telecoms. The competition was run by the PwC at that particular time. And when I reflect back, I realize it was the engagement of the people that gave us success as a senior management team. Our first MD was fired, but the rest of the team remained, and we learned from our mistakes. So again, part of the emotional intelligence is ability to learn from your mistakes and adjusting. So when you look at the profile of the leaders who are very successful in the world, take time to study what makes them successful. And you will find the practical research, which was done by Daniel Goleman, responding to your questions. It is the competences, how they use these competences. Now, I want to take you further to look at how you can apply emotional intelligence to create a sustainable success for your organization, not short-term, because in the current world, we are driven by short-term results. But when we are talking about creating a sustainable success, that's when you start talking about how do I apply emotional intelligence in my company to create that success. So you find the world now is a very interesting place to live. When you project maybe 10 years from now, how the world is going to look like, how the business environment in East Africa is going to look like, you realize there is constant change. If it is not disruption because of the technology, there'll be disruption because of maybe an outburst of a virus, just like what we are coming from the COVID-19. Now we are talking about monkeypox. We are talking about so many things that are happening. But also we are talking about new products and services that are coming, and they may unseat us. Maybe we may be a very well-performing organization, but when that new product and services come in the market, they find that we cannot compete. So change is becoming sort of like a staple food in an organization. Now, when we are talking about change, a human being adopting to change is not an easy thing. So how can leaders now be able to drive change by making people embrace change more willingly, because change is happening all the time? Emotional intelligence is seen as a skill that can allow leaders drive change in the organization. Now, we are talking about strategy. Strategy, when you are formulating strategy or you are executing strategy, you may say, maybe in the next 2 years or 3 years, my strategy is going to be like this. But as you are implementing that particular strategy, there are so many things that are happening. So we call it emergent strategy, whereas you have to adapt, you have to relearn and change your strategy so that you are able to win more business. So that kind of adaptation, it cannot happen unless you have people who are agile, people who are able to read and learn from the market, but bring that, knowledge and communicate it with clarity to the workforce, so that the workforce is also being able to be agile and move as fast as it is supposed to move. Now, when you look at the issues of mental health, we have perfected technology in our companies. It is rare to hear people have lost fingers, they have lost a leg, maybe they have lost an eye because of an accident, because we have managed that with technology. But now our workplace is having a lot of psychological injuries. People are getting injured. People are getting, if you don't have positive interaction, people are getting injured all the time. If you don't have leaders who are noticing these things and create an environment which is psychologically safe for people to be able to operate without feeling like I'm going to be judged, then you are going to have a rise, a spike on the mental health problem, and it is becoming a problem in our areas. So when you have leaders who are emotionally aware, leaders who are leading with emotional intelligence, you have a possibility of reducing burnout, reducing mental health problems, complication in your organization, and you can win the marketplace better than people who are running without emotional intelligence. What about multi-generational workforce? We are having Gen Zs now being employed in our organization. We have not even perfected how to deal with millennials, but the Gen Z are knocking at our doors. They are questioning everything. Yesterday, I had executive coaching with the executive managers of a bank. And you realize the directors who are now 50, 55, they are finding it very interesting to deal with the new workforce that are coming in. So I was blessed to have the executive coaching with sort of like the old timers in that particular bank. But last week, I was also blessed to have a session, a whole day with a management trainee. The trainees, the best of the brains, you know, attracted from the universities in Dar es Salaam and elsewhere in Tanzania. They are there. They have gone round the entire bank, learning about the functions of the bank, but they have a lot of questions. Now, if they don't find leaders who have emotional intelligence to respond to their questions, they are not going to be as productive as we would expect. But also, you would expect attrition, because if they think the culture is not fitting with them, they'll find a way of getting out. So then a challenge to the leaders is, how do we modify, how do we innovate ourselves as leaders to be able to match with the new dynamics that are coming with millennials, with Gen Z in our organization, but at the same time, not also losing the wisdom of the people who are much older, who are the corporate memory, who have seen it, who have gained wisdom that they can be shared with the millennials. How do we create that kind of a convergence of the new generation and the old generation working in the same space without losing any of them, but harnessing their potential so that we are able to get a lot out of them? Then the issue of innovation. As you can see, buildings, technology cannot innovate, but the innovation side of a human, the human side of the innovation is the one which will keep us, you know, in the marketplace for a long time. We won't go, or we won't become obsolete if we use the human side of innovation. Because one thing that human beings are able to deliver to this planet world, it is their ability to innovate, to think out of the box and to bring that. But if we don't have leaders who are creating integrated thinking within our organization, whereas the thinking is not only a reserve of the leaders, it is integrated across the company, where people are allowed to question, people are allowed to think, people are allowed to come up with new ways of doing things, then we are not going to have organizations that are agile. The agility of that organization is going to be reduced. Then the last one, emotional intelligence, gives you ability to be an agile leader. A leader that can read a situation and adapt quickly to be able to respond to the demand of the people who he's leading. Every leadership situation has its own different demand. So if I'm dealing with the Gen Z, there is a different demand in terms of my approach to the Gen Z. How do I recognize it so that I'm able to respond? And if I'm dealing to a different leadership situation, I have to be. So emotional intelligence gives you that kind of ability, because at the end of the day, leaders' role is to facilitate high performance in the people they lead. And to facilitate high performance, you need to have a set of skills that will enable you to do that. So we are going to look at some of the set of skills that you need to have. So first is to try to understand what is emotional intelligence. It is the ability to perceive, yeah? I talked about perceiving, understanding the context on which you are providing your leadership, but also understanding that context. What is it demanding? And when you have understood that context, being able to communicate with clarity, expressing yourself. But when you express yourself, you will get a feedback. People will give you their reasoning. So ability to reason with those people. And when they are challenging you, ability to manage your emotion, your internal climate, so that you are able to use emotional intelligence, to use emotion to get positive results. So this is the mechanic of emotional intelligence, that ability to perceive, ability to understand and express and reason with others, but also ability to be stable, to manage your own emotion before you manage the emotion of other people. And when you apply it in your leadership, it means you come out as a mindful leader, you come out as a leader who listens, you come out as a leader who take in perspective of other people. And when we go to that, we have our leadership competence of emotional intelligence. And this is the Genos now. Now, the Genos has 6 competences that leaders are supposed to be aware. They're also supposed to be empathetic, know where other people are coming from. They're also supposed to project authenticity, being approachable, where people can communicate with them. Leaders are supposed to be expansive in terms of understanding the world in which they are operating and being able to make decisions that are able to take care of the long-term perspective, not only the short-term perspective. But what about the stability? It is fast-paced. Leaders are feeling stretched all the time. They're running. But also there are so many things that are happening around their leadership. How do they develop resilience so that they are able to bounce back when they encounter crisis? And lastly, ability to empower other people. So I'm going to talk about this model in a very simple way to try to see how self-awareness can help leaders and also the rest of the competences. So if we take self-awareness and we say, why does self-awareness matter to leadership? When you look at self-awareness, is about being aware of the way you feel yourself, your internal climate, and the impact, the emotions you bring to the workplace, what kind of impact they have in terms of the people you work with, and the decisions that you make, and the performance of the people that you are interacting with. Now, aware leaders, they are able to have that antenna, the sensor, to know that. And the self-awareness help them to be present and conscious of their leadership context. It helps them to evaluate their own strength and limitation, giving them the intellectual humility which is required. And also the self-awareness helps them to strive to create positive impact on the people they make. So in this way, they are able to influence, they are able to engage, and they are able to create that kind of an environment where people are willing to give their hand. They are willing to go an extra mile to give their head. They are willing to go to give their heart into the organization and produce very good results at the end of the day. So that is how self-awareness can assist leaders to harness success. And when you have an aware leader, they are able to mobilize, the human potential and bring it to the table and make it maximize itself to produce great result for a long period of time. Now, when we look at awareness of others and why it matters in leadership and how it can harness the success of a leader in a workplace, because when you start acknowledging other people, starting to know where they come from, and acknowledging that they come to the workplace as a full package. They don't come to the workplace only as, professionals, but they are carrying also some of their makeup. And every day is not the same for everyone. So what is happening when a leader has awareness of others, they're able to help people, they're able to be intentional and take effective steps to influence and facilitate performance and get the best out of people. And when you are able to get the best out of people, you are able to harness the organizational performance in a very sustainable way. It won't be a yo-yo performance, but it will be a more sustainable performance for your organization. Then when we come to the skill of authenticity, which is about being able to communicate clearly, not only the information, not the substance, but also to communicate your feelings, expressing yourself, but at the same time, caring about how you are communicating that information to other people and honoring the promises that you make and encouraging people also to be open to you. Because if I'm communicating openly to you, I should also encourage you to communicate openly to me, meaning that I'm inviting, feedback. And when I receive that feedback, I receive it positively. I'm not receiving it like feeling I'm challenged and I should punish you. So when you have leaders who are authentic leaders, they will be able to build relational trust with other people. And the relational trust is the one which actually make organization operate without a culture of toxicity. People trust each other. People, they can be open and say, I cannot do this, because they know the leader will understand, will support them to learn. Also, it helps leaders to positively influence the performance of those they lead. So authenticity makes leaders become more approachable. And when a leader is approachable, is not seen as a robot, is seen as a human being with feelings. When a leader is approachable, people are able to learn from that leader. People are not afraid to innovate because they know their ideas will be respected. And when people are free to innovate, they fertilize the innovative capacity of the organization. They become creative. You are able to evoke the human side of innovation by being approachable, by being a person who provides clarity in the communication when you are communicating and cascading information within the organization. Then when we come to the skill of self-management, and we are trying to look at why does it matter in leadership? When we look at self-management, it is about ability to manage your own mood, emotions, your time, your behavior, and continuously improving your own self. And when we are talking about improving your own self, it means taking in feedback, knowing how you are impacting other people, and continuously improving how you are impacting other people, becoming a life learner. And when you become a life learner, it means you are innovating yourself on a continuous basis. Because we are talking about innovating our business, but we are not talking about innovating our leader. How do we create an innovation of ourselves so that I'm experienced better? People are responding to me in an effective way, and I'm communicating better. So that kind of evolution that is supposed to happen in leaders Because yes, we have innovated quite a lot, but the innovation of the leadership approach has not happened that much. In my executive coaching yesterday, one of the leaders I was talking to said, you know, I've been given feedback that I should smile more. I'm too serious. And then I asked him, seriousness coming from? He said, because my management training taught me if I look smiley and so accommodating, I'm less leader-like. So I should not allow people to see that I smile and I collaborate, I talk, and so I carry this face. And then I asked him, was it only the people you lead who told you that you should smile more? He said, no. Even one of my kids said, you know, Dad, you have to smile more. So when we were talking about it, we say, okay, how does the smile attract other people to you? When you find your team, maybe you have your own challenges, but you find your team is not as motivated. One smile can make your team become motivated for that day. You can make their day. So self-management will help leaders to manage their own emotion effectively in difficult situations, while at the same time demonstrating positive, energizing demeanor, hence improve on and their team's performance. Because the world does not want to associate with gloomness. The world does not want to associate with a leader who is looking like the world is going to end tomorrow. They want to associate with a leader who bring light into the room and maximize that light, bring joy into the room and make the work a lot fun. And when you are able to manage that, to curtail your emotion, to be able to provide that a projection of positive demeanor, energizing demeanor, the performance of your team will go above the roof. And that's how you can maintain high performance within the team. Now, with that self-management, already you harness your leadership success. And the last competence is inspiring performance. Now, inspiring performance, I'm sorry, this one is reading differently. Inspiring performance is that ability where leaders help. Inspiring performance, I had a wrong one. Inspiring performance is about facilitating high performance in others through problem solving, promoting, good work environment, recognizing and supporting others. So it is about empowering. It is about developing a pipeline of leaders within your organization. So when you inspire performer, leaders are able to support and create opportunity for people to learn, opportunity for people to improve, sustain high performance in their organization. But more important, fertilize innovation and achieve competitive advantage. Now, because there is a lot of change to the bucket and get someone who is 100% able to deliver on the job that you have assigned, it is the role of a leader to guide, to support, and to empower the people who are hired to do the work in the organization. And when leaders realize that they need to create that inspiration, they need to provide support to people, build their capacity. Know that by building that capacity, they are not only focusing on short-term achievement, they are focusing on a long-term achievement. And if you look at the examples of football team, you find the coaches, they have mastered this one. Even if they buy the best player, they spend time giving them support, guiding, and assisting them to be the best in the pitch. So if we adopt that, we'll be able to create, to harness leadership success in our workplace. I think I'll end there and take a few questions from the audience or my moderator, if my moderator is here. You're welcome.
Yes, I am here. Thank you very much, Zuhura. What we have been getting from the chat has been a lot of our participants telling us where they're dialing in from. We have people all the way from Tanzania, not Tanzania, sorry, Burkina Faso. Of course, we have lots of people from Tanzania and from different and various organizations in Tanzania. And of course, I'm saying thank you very much. Always enlightening to listen to you, Zuhura. And at this point, I'll ask if anyone has a question, please put it on the Q&A platform, or you can even put it on the chat. And we even have someone who's joined us from Nairobi, Kenya. I was looking for the Kenyan. Now I've seen one more person. But as you were speaking, I had a question for you. And especially when you are referring to the different generations that we come across in our workplace at the moment. I had the opportunity of speaking with a few managers this week in the insurance industry, and they were sharing how there's a lot of skill development that is required to be able to get people into the role of proper sales. You know, they come in and they come in as agents, but people have grown from agents, they've grown to permanent, they've grown to leading sales teams. But they're finding that because of the sheer push for numbers, the learning is not happening as it used to. You know, I guess in the olden times, it was very easy, the apprenticeship way of learning. So I was just wondering, what are the trends you have seen in terms of that development of a person or you as a team leader who has all these generations? Now there's ChatGPT. Someone can go on ChatGPT and write a letter to the client with the wrong information because they didn't have a session with you to understand. Some are mentioning, you know, the presentation skills are wanting. They don't know what to do. So I was just thinking around that. What have you been seeing about educating and learning?
Okay, yeah, thank you very much. As I said, what is happening, Vicky, we see a lot of innovation in the technology. We see a lot of innovation in terms of how product innovation and other things. But what we are not seeing much happening, it is innovation in the leadership. Leaders understanding that in this era, you cannot lead in the same way as we were leading during Industrial Revolution 1,
Yes.
Industrial Revolution 2, 3.
Yes.
We are now in the Industrial Revolution 4. We have to change. We have to be the change which is required by the market, because these people are not thinking like us. It is possible to have somebody download, you know, or ask a ChatGPT to write a letter and send it to the client. But also, if you look at in terms of our organizations, you cannot only talk about the young generation. You can also talk about the older generation, because they are used to do some things in the same way. And what I've seen, I'm going to use one word, which we say many organizations now, they have a number of useful idiots, meaning they are very intelligent, but they don't know why they are doing something the way they are doing it. So as you find it, they are not able to harness the potential of the people who are entering the organization. It is until we are able to look at leadership differently and also to take in the soft skills that are required in leadership, that's when we can harness the learning. Because the short-term results are driving, you know, leaders to believe, I just give directives. I just pronounce the KPIs. I don't have to prepare people to be able to deliver those KPIs. Yeah, we'll continue complaining. Yeah.
We'll continue complaining. Okay. So another question here from Ariane. She says, I'll give you two questions and then you can then address them both as I get more questions. The first one is, how important is it to smile? Is there smiling too much, or is smiling too much wrong? That's the first question, Ariane. And then the second question is, can you address a bit on gender dynamics? As a woman leading a team of men, I tend to reassess how I react to situations a lot. What is your advice?
Okay, excellent. First of all, there is what we call authenticity. If your smile does not come out with authentic smile, if it is grinning and you don't mean it, the smile which is powerful in leadership, it is that smile which is accompanied by a smiling brain. So it is from your brain. If your brain is smiling, your smile will have a lot of meaning and it will be able to influence someone because it will be a genuine smile. So there is not too much smile, but there is a fake smile. So we have to make our smile as leaders genuine smile. That's when we can win at workplace. The second one, the gender dimension. Normally, I hear a lot about how people come into approach when it's a woman leader. Yes, I know there is pressure, especially when people see that you are a woman leader. But it is your thought process. Because a woman is but her thoughts. If you think I'm being undermined, you'll come out like an undermined person. But if you feel you are great and you are delivering great leadership, you'll come out as a great leader. So it is always about the unsafety in us, the psychological unsafety in us, which drive us not to give the best that we can give. So we stop beating ourselves and saying that people are going to relate to us because we are women. They are not going to treat us in the same way as they treat men. Not at all. That is in your brain. You have to really rewire your brain to be able to do it better.
Okay, so it's about us feeling safe in ourselves. And in fact, I have a friend who says you're a woman. You're just a person who was given that job. Like someone else. There is another question. This one I ask, how do you, because sometimes some of these things that we talk about are a real shift in terms of the way we think like towards leadership. For example, maybe you're used to focusing on results, calling out lack of achievement, and you feel that perhaps having these conversations now around what could be causing this, or smiling, as we're saying, being this sort of person, is not really in line with what you know. Of course, you're having those doubts that it can even work in the first place. How do you move from that space where this has worked and now understanding logically that you need to change, but then the habits themselves that you've developed are making you feel like you're an imposter to what you want to do? Yes.
Yes, Vicky, I met a lot of such sentiment for that we sit and coach in Tanzania and elsewhere. And we had a program for 18 countries in Sub-Saharan Africa. And the issue of imposter, the issue of now, this is my default mode and so on came. But emotional intelligence is just like any other muscle. You can train. So, for example, if you are a straightforward communicator, you can train to be straightforward, but adjust your body language, adjust your facial expression, and raise your words, not your voice. And that is from Rumi. Rumi is a philosopher. They say when leaders learn how to raise their words, not their voice, they become more powerful and more successful. So what kind of words are you choosing, especially to give feedback, to communicate with your people? They matter a lot in leadership. And people will celebrate you because of your ability to choose the right words at the right time. And that's where you
Yeah.
come in now, the agility in leadership, reading the context and knowing exactly how to communicate.
Mm. Mm. Okay. Now, one last one. I think we still have maybe one or two people asking questions. I'm still trying to look. How do you deal with stress while being a leader?
First of all, you have to be grateful that you're a leader, because you know, the species of leaders, there are not many. So
Yeah.
if people have trusted you and they have seen a leadership trait in you, and they have designated you, given you the license to lead them, first thing is to be grateful that you're a leader. But the stress, you know, we create our world. Our world is shaped by the perception. For example, if I start saying that I'm stressed, everything around me will look chaotic and stressful. So if we are able to control our mindset, we are able to control what the world is giving us. So if I say I'm busy, you know, today I'm so busy, the world will look very busy too and very cluttered. But if I unclutter my mind and I see the world from an uncluttered point of view, I'm able to be more powerful, and the universe will conspire to give me uncluttered universe. So most of the stress is internally induced, the way we are seeing the world and the way we are seeing situations.
Okay. Good. I have another question now. How do I identify my healthy and unhealthy behaviors? How do I identify the things that I'm showing up as productive, or as someone who has been able to you know, influence, lead from a point of self-awareness? How do I identify those healthy and unhealthy behaviors, even in my team?
You have to be a leader above the line. When we are talking about conscious leadership, there are leaders who are below the line. The above the line leaders are very curious. They are open to learn. And because they are open to learn, they are open to feedback. And when there is a mistake, they believe they are not Mr. Right or Miss Right. They are able to accept that I have made a mistake, and they use the mistake as their school, and they graduate by becoming better. And lastly, they have intellectual humility. And intellectual humility is such a power, because what it does, it removes the burden from your shoulder, that you are the one thinking. It creates integrated thinking within your organization, and people will approach you with new ideas. And in most organizations that they have ideation room where people can go and throw their ideas, they do better in workplace, because a good idea can come from your clerk, because you have allowed them to think.
Okay. And then last but not least, I don't have any more questions on the chat. If you have any more questions, please feel free to ask. We'll take about 2 more. We are now 7 minutes past the hour. The last question that I have is, what are, to you, and I know there are many ways, but what to you are the 3 most important items that contribute significantly to healthy relationships?
You asked me, first of all, is communication with clarity. Okay? The interpersonal relationship is a complex thing. Unless we raise the texture of our communication, we'll not be able to foster healthy relationship between us. And when we talk about raising the texture of our communication, is upping the game of listening, active listening, listening to understand, not to judge, not to question, not to respond. And that requires an emotional posture in our listening. Even within our families, we'll be bringing up healthier families, but also at workplace, will have teams that are firing at their best because of just adjusting how we listen, how we communicate.
Mhm.
Yes, very
That is,
important.
that is 1, 2, 3.
Building relational capital, going beyond the surface, creating human connection. And creating human connection requires an effort. Because if I want to get connected to Vicky, I have to invest in understanding, where does Vicky come from? Where is she coming from? Is she coming from a point of stress? Coming from a point of gladness? Coming from a point of maybe depression? And being able to listen carefully. So that kind of human connection requires an effort. And if leaders can invest in building human connection, we shall see very different workplaces that have more success than we are seeing at the moment. Because we are mammals, we need that kind of connection. We need validation.
Yes, yes, we're definitely mamas. I have two last ones, then now we can close. The first one is, how do you raise your words? Is there training for that? That's number one. Number two is, can listening at the feelings level help you see attitudes or behaviors of someone as a leader? Can listening at the feelings level help you see the attitudes and behavior of a leader? And then the last, someone has asked, when it comes, people might have good ideas, but my fear is that when it comes to existing rules and procedures, they become a hurdle and a lot of ideas get buried because of this. I think maybe that was more of a comment. Yeah, but
okay, many questions, Vicky, but the first one about words.
yes.
I can tell you, words can build and words can destroy. And where trust is destroyed and killed, it is through what we utter from our mouth. And that's why we are saying, leaders, we have to be very careful in terms of our voices. When we talk about raising our words, we are about choosing the right words for the right context and for the right time. And that is a skill. And when you are choosing the right word for the right context, right time, it means also you become consultative.
Yes.
Because you should not take the burden of leadership alone. Being consultative to know what works for this particular situation. Then the second question was?
The second question was around if you listen from the feelings level.
Yes. Yeah, we are talking when you are listening. You know, words carry little message. It is the body language and the expression of the person who is delivering those words. When leaders learn to listen and to observe, you know, the kind of things that are playing around their leadership context, they are able to understand the emotional climate of their organization better. They are able to take better decisions in terms of engaging people. So it is very important to recognize words come with emotions.
Yes.
Yeah. And such emotions, if we don't attend them, they'll be buried under the sea. And when they are buried under the sea, we'll only be dealing with behaviors on the surface, but not making a meaningful change in our workforce.
Yeah, yeah. True words, true words. Thank you. Thank you
The
very
last one
much.
was a comment.
Yeah, I think the last one was a comment about how ideas can get buried because of existing rules and
yeah, of course. Yeah, when leaders put, you know, million rules before you can do anything and they never consult anyone, then what happens? We'll be checking the box.
Yes.
business as usual,
Yes.
forever. And
Yes.
today there was a very nice comment I heard from somewhere. You find a number of organizations successful, but when you want to enroll, you find the same kind of forms that were used 20 years ago, 30 years ago. They're still in use. And then you ask yourself, are people innovating in that particular organization? But because they've been told this is the form, you cannot do otherwise. Even if that form does not have enough space to fill the information, you
Yes.
still have to grapple to work
Yes.
within that particular constraint because it
Yes.
is a rule. You must complete
Yes.
this form before. So we have to look at how are we going to sort of like help our organizations to have much more agility in terms of the ideas of innovating and changing things to get greater success. And
Yes.
it is the leader. If the leader is willing and sees change as part of making the organization more successful, he will embrace change. And the tone at the top,
Yes.
when it has embraced change,
Yes.
other people will also embrace change.
Thank you. And I think that is why we can then authoritatively say how emotional intelligence can actually help us harness leadership success. Because leaders, basically, I think all of us, not only just leadership, but everyone, your success is people, really. Things come through people. Things are delivered through people. And as leaders, your result is a quantitative and qualitative output from the people around you. Okay. So I think I'm done with all the questions. I'll just give you to wrap it up.
Yes, thank you very much for those people who ask questions. I've seen a lot of comments, and it will be interesting to go back to the comments so that we learn also, because we are going to have a number of free webinars.
Yes.
And from your comments and your feedback, we'll be able to deliver better. I just want the audience to know that all this knowledge is being brought to us by Genos International. For us certified practitioners, we are using this particular model. The model is a powerful model. It is now across the world in different languages. In Tanzania, I'm teaching emotional intelligence to a number of companies in Kiswahili, and hopefully we are also going to see Kiswahili gaining more power. So it is an award-winning model, and it is supported by a very good research partner in the name of Swiban University in Australia. We are using very recent research that have been done. And when we are using this research, we are able to validate our model. We are able to take emotional intelligence in East Africa and the rest of Africa, as we have been certifying people from North Africa, from West Africa, from South Africa, and other places. And when you look at application of the Genos model, it offered a very structured emotional intelligence development to companies. First, mindset, where we engage learners through practical experiential learning, where they question, they reflect, they try to understand the behaviors that deliver best results. But also we have tools like assessment. We do EI assessment, structured reports that give feedback to leaders, give feedback to workers, give feedback to just normal staff. And also we are able to debrief them so that they can raise the quality of their communication, the quality of their engagement within the workplace. But also we have workshops, and in the workshops, they are very interactive. We use practical activities, role play, people, peer-to-peer coaching in those workshops. But there is a very big part of emotional intelligence under Genos, which is continuous learning. We have research publication, we have conferences, thematic seminars, we have webinars and videos. Like now, this webinar is coming from the Genos International Thinking. Now, within East Africa, we are running two, we have a certification which is happening in Nairobi, and we have a certification which is going to happen in Tanzania. We are inviting those who have attended our webinar to talk about this certification. You can zoom on the QR code to ask us questions, how we can assist you. This one is going to be the first face-to-face certification program we are running in Tanzania after the COVID-19. We are inviting you to bring your human resource, your consultant, if you are a consultant, if you are a HR leader, if you are a HR business partner, if you are a talent manager, you are a manager, you want to harness your emotional intelligence, you are welcome. I thank you everyone who has been here listening to me. I hope I've been able to meet your expectation. And I want to say thank you very much, Vicky, for the questions and the comments that you were able to harness for me and ask me to respond. Asanteni sana, and may God bless you. Those who joined us from Burkina Faso, merci bien, soyez bienvenus.
Thank you so much, Zuhura, for also coming to this webinar, having this discussion. As always, it is a pleasure to listen to you. We have such wonderful comments from the chats, thanking this particular discussion, and then also talking about the wonderful presentation. Someone said that I hope you will be doing this, yes, more often, and yes, we will be having these webinars every so often, and since you're in our mailing list, you will always get to know when they are happening. And if you follow us, both ILA and Profiles International, you will also get to know them from our socials because we share the posts. So other than that, our ask is please share the certification registration information that is on the chat now. And if also this is something that you're interested in, we have given you the link on the chat, and we will be very happy and very, very grateful if we were having you in our class and taking you through it. God bless you. Have a lovely evening and good night to everyone. Good night.
Good night. Good night.